on April the 26th, 1937. It was a Monday, market day. Guernica would have been full of people, livestock. About 3-4 in the afternoon, the first wave of aircraft came over. They were a mix of Italian and German planes, Heikels and Junkers from the Condor Legion. Initially they started dropping bombs to break the buildings up, and then incendiary bombs. Wave after wave came, lasted for 3 or 4 hours. As people ran into the hills, and it's quite a hilly area, then the aircraft would strafe them. All told, probably 1,300, 1,500. Don't really know what the body count was. Immediately afterwards, the nationalist government claimed that the Republicans had blown it up themselves, but then that was quickly repudiated. The command to bomb Guernica came from Franco's new nationalist regime, but it was executed by the German Condor Legion with support from aircraft from Mussolini's Air Force. It was the first textbook annihilation bombing exercise, and it was a prelude to the Blitzkrieg. At that time, the German Air Force was being run by von Richthofen, who was a cousin of Baron von Richthofen from First World War fame, and he was, ruthless in his aim. What he wanted to do was smash Guernica, the sacred capital of the Basque people, and break their morale, and they did that. Within a few weeks they had got into Bilbao, and Bilbao was the strong point of the Republican presence in the north. George Spear, a British journalist for the Times, he got here really quickly, wrote a very flat piece, all facts, which then went around the world, and people pretty soon realised what was going on within Guernica. If you don't know the history of the Spanish Civil War, it's worth just kind of tuning into it a little bit, because as well as being incredibly pressing, we always learn stuff about the future from putting a mirror up to the past. It's just fascinating, and I'd only learnt about it within the past 12 months, but now that I know more about Spain's very recent and quite difficult past, I interpret what's going on around me in Spain in a much different way. Spain was effectively closed to the West from 1937 until Franco's death in 75, 76, and it's only then, in the last 40 years, that Spain has had this massive rush of investment and has turned into this modern city, modern country that we see today. Fascinating stuff. The sacred Guernica oak tree is round the back of the assembly building, and it's kind of fenced off, but all these oak trees here, you can go and kind of collect acorns. I might have collected an acorn or two. So yeah. Now the rest of Guernica, guess what? There's not really a lot to see. It looks like any new town anywhere in the West. It is apartments and office blocks. The church was left, the assembly building was left, and the bridge at the bottom of the valley, that was left untouched. By accident or by design, I don't know. It could have been, bad Italian bomb guidance, or it was the Germans thinking, well, actually, we might need that to get into the city later. It's nice. The sun's just come out. This is the Renteria district of Guernica. That's the Renteria Bridge, which was left intact during the bombing raid. You would have thought that knocking out the bridge to stop people's retreat would have been an idea, but either through incompetence or actually they wanted to leave it open to make it easier to get in. still up for debate. I've not seen a particularly good answer in any of the texts that I've read. Apart from the old buildings, the assembly building in the church, the rest of Guernica was rebuilt. It could be any town, anywhere. It's just a mishmash of modern buildings that have been thrown together. So just down the way from the assembly building and where the sacred tree is this reproduction of Picasso's Guernica painting. The new Republican government had invited him to do a painting, I think for the Paris exposition, but it was only after he heard about Guernica that he came up with this. Now, if you're not familiar with the picture, you know, get a copy in front of you. It's all in black and white. The real one is down in Madrid. It was only returned to Spain after the Franco regime fell. Picasso didn't want it showed during the nationalist Franco dictatorship. It's a brutal painting. It's got a mother with a child screaming. There's a soldier on the floor with a broken sword. There's a horse that looks like in pain, and it's got this weird kind of inside-outside aspect to it. The painting in Madrid used glass in the paint medium, so it has this shine effect, and also, as you can see, it's kind of all black and white and grey, which reflects the newsprint and the black and white photos that were in the press of the time. The Guernica painting has got an immensely interesting story itself. It effectively toured the world, waiting for it to be allowed to return back to Spain when the Franco regime fell. There's an interesting story about it being displayed in East London, and the dockers would turn up and put their boots before the Guernica painting, and then it went up to Manchester and was apparently displayed in a Manchester car showroom, which must have been amazing. I'd love to know the story of that. It's a pretty brutal painting. Once you see it, you're probably not going to forget it. At some point in the future, I'll go and do the real painting down in Madrid.